This video can be seen as an introductory video and viewed as a whole video, or you're welcome to just look at one or two slides on the video and see if they're useful for a lesson for you. Questioning is a really important skill. Good readers ask questions as they read because reading is like solving a puzzle. So good readers ask themselves, are there any mystery words? Does anything puzzle me? Do I have any questions? Can I research this topic? Sometimes good readers know that they need to read back into the book again because they've missed something and they need to sort it out because there's a mystery for them. So questioning is actually an important skill for the whole of our lives, not just for when we're young. We have to ask whether the news that we're reading is accurate. We need to check whether the article online is recent. We even need to check whether something is fake news, just completely made up. We need to work out whether a writer is an expert. Do people give evidence for their opinions? Does this factual book have references? And who is it that funds this website? So actually questioning and being curious is a really, really important skill for life. And we need to build our questioning skills. So the first thing that good readers do is they sort out the W's. Where, when, what, who, why, and how. So these are really good questions to get to the bottom of when you're reading something. And they're also very useful for when you need to come to write a summary. Now, asking open and closed questions are both useful. Closed questions are the W questions like who, when, and where, and they have short answers. And open questions are questions that make us think and where we have longer than just a 1 or 2 word answer. So things like why and how, they're the sort of questions that get us thinking, and we need to give a longer answer. They are open questions. There's some other kind of questions as well that we can use. So the here questions, that's just the same as finding the W's. That's just all that those are. Now the hidden questions, they are asking us to find the things that the author does not say directly. They are asking us to infer, to follow a trail of clues left by the author and to snap them together. Head questions ask for our opinion about aspects of the text, and they ask really, what do I think about this? And heart questions ask about emotional aspects of a text, such as tracking a character's feelings. So here we have a little scaffold that shows the here hidden head and heart questions. And we're looking a little closer here at these questions. And we're chasing down the heart and the head questions here. Now, another time that we use questioning is if we're in a reciprocal reading group for non-fiction. This is when we sit often in a group of about 4 people, sometimes 5, and we're really sorting out a factual text that's got a lot of information that we need to learn. And so there's 2 types of questions that are asked in a reciprocal reading group. So the person who's the clarifier is asking questions about words that don't make sense. And the clarifier may use a dictionary to sort it out. And the questioner is the person in the group who is making sure that the group has understood what's been read. And they're often asking the W questions. Now with literature circles, this is when a group of people gets together and they talk about a chapter of a book that they've just read. And so basically the discussion director, who's kind of the boss of the group, often starts off with some really interesting questions to get people thinking about the chapter that they've just read. See, think, wonder is a really interesting way to respond to a picture. What you do is you look at an image and you say to yourself, What do you see? What do you think? What do you wonder? And actually, that's how you answer. You go, I can see a dragon. I think that the boy is giving him a toasted marshmallow, and I'm wondering how they became friends. So that's the kind of thing you do with See, Think, Wonder. It's a really good questioning strategy. I wonders are just things that you note down to yourself. They're questions that you ask, often asked actually after reading a non-fiction text, but certainly I wonders can be asked after reading a chapter in a fiction text as well. It's a really good strategy. I wonder bubbles are a sweet way to do some thinking about a topic that you've just been reading about in a non-fiction text. So for example, here, this child asked the question about which ones are the fastest birds and then did some information gathering. So I wonder bubbles, the question is actually in the bubble in the middle of the bubble, and then you put a big illustration of the topic that you're studying about, and then you put some summaries and notes on the rest of the bubble. I think it's a really good way of doing some research about a question that interests you. There's another way to tackle research. You can do a think, puzzle, explore. First of all, you start off with, what do you think you know about the topic? And you think about questions or puzzles that you have that you would like to research. And then explore is actually the practicalities of how you're going to go about doing your research. So I think this is a good organizer for curious people. Essential questions are the big questions that you ask yourself before you do some research, and they can't easily be answered by just cutting and pasting stuff from the internet. So in a couple of slides, I'm going to give you some examples of essential questions because they really make us think. Now, Genius Hour is when you become curious about something that you'd like to research. And for 1 hour a week, you put together a research project that you're going to share with people, and you chose your own question to explore. So I think Genius Hour is a lot of fun. Soul is a bit different again. This is when you work as a group and you're exploring an essential question. You've got 1 hour and everyone in the group must contribute. You are allowed to buzz around and look at what the other groups are doing, and everyone's going to contribute. And at the end of the hour, you all do a report back. So I think Soul is a pretty good way to do some research with friends. And here are some questions for Soul that some students have explored, and they are actually examples of essential questions because you're going to have to do quite a bit of researching to find out the answer to these questions. You can't just get a simple cut and paste from the internet. So basically, here's another Soul project. The question here was, can you kill a goat by staring at it? And you can see by looking at the report back that everybody who was in the group did some notes and things which they also kind of read from during the report back as well. I like the fact that everybody takes responsibility at the end of the Soul session and throughout. So some people get so curious about things that they pursue an inquiry, or sometimes it's called project-based learning. Sometimes they undertake a challenge to solve a problem, or they enter a competition. Because really, if we become really good questioners, what we're going to be able to do is solve problems that are actually big issues in the world at the moment. So I think that being a good questioner is a really tremendous life skill. So what do you do as a writer in terms of questioning skills? I think it's a really good idea to write in a way that gets your readers to do some questioning. Because if you give your readers absolutely everything on a plate, it doesn't really get their minds sparking. So I think with fiction, make sure that you scatter clues for your reader to follow. Make sure that your reader has to do some inferring. So make sure that you do show and not just tell. And maybe include some settings and events that readers will really want to research about as well. And if you're writing a non-fiction text, get your reader to be so interested in what you're presenting that they ask themselves some questions to go away and to research on their own.